All right, we are on. You weren't expecting to see me today, were you? Well, you were wrong. Anyways, it's freezing out here. It's about 30 degrees. We got to get some heat going. Anywho, I gave my ex-girlfriend a call yesterday. And it got me thinking. Men and women really don't need each other anymore. Some people think it's cheating to throw lighter fluid on the fire to get it started. I think it's the best part, but to each their own. Now, this is really not working out as well as I wanted it to. A little windy and cold out here. All right, I think we're good to go now. Yep, we're good. That'll warm us up pretty quick. Anyways, as I was saying, men and women don't need each other anymore, you know? The world's changed, we could say that, you know. I don't know how else to put it, but I was reading something the other day and it said 47% of adults in the United States are single. Now, of course, that includes 18-year-olds, and 18-year-olds are supposed to be single. But 50 years ago, 18-year-olds were getting married and starting families, so, you know, they're still adults too. Anyways, I guess the reason for calling my ex-girlfriend was because I got on Instagram, on my old account where I have all of my, all my old friends and family on it. And, I noticed she was on there uploading a bunch of selfies. And we're a lot alike. Instagram is like YouTube for women, right? Women like taking pictures of themselves, uploading to social media. Men like sharing their ideas and uploading to social media. It's just the difference between men and women. Anyways, she was on there. She was uploading selfies from her apartment, watching a romance movie all by herself and drinking a tea. And I was just thinking, this girl is 32 years old, no kids, pays all of her own bills on time, is a good person, makes a pretty good girlfriend. She's not bad looking either. I'll put it like this. She's the kind of girl you can take her to a vacation in Miami. After a few drinks, she's going to get involved in bikini competitions. And sometimes she'll win them. She's not a bad looking girl, but she likes being single. So do I. And I just think adults in this day and age, a large percentage of them are in that same boat. They like being single. When you enter a relationship, what you're essentially doing is you're merging your life with somebody else's life. So everything you do from the time you wake up in the morning, your morning coffee, your breakfast, your going to the gym, going to work. Obviously you're not always with that person, but all of your hobbies, the things you engage in your personal life, you have to merge those with all the activities that somebody else does, so they have their own life, you have your own life, and you got to merge the two. And in the process, you have to give up a lot of your old hobbies and your old freedoms. You got to change things up a bit. And in this day and age, we have the freedom to do whatever we want to do. So that means if we choose that we don't want to give up 50% of our lives to merge with somebody else and inherit 50% of their life, we don't have to. And, to some degree, it's a shame. It's a shame because a lot of people want to be single. And when you're single, you miss out on the opportunity of starting a family, of having children. You miss out on a lot. Okay, if you're interviewing for a new job, you have a much better chance of getting that job if you're married with children. If you want a promotion at work, you have a much better shot at getting that promotion if you're married with children. It's the truth. Single people aren't treated as well as married people, as family people. And sure, women have an advantage when it comes to dating when they're single. If it's a young, hot, single woman, she has some advantages for sure, right? She gets free drinks everywhere she goes. She basically can take her pick of which man she wants to spend time with or whatnot, but she also misses out on quite a bit. Certainly misses out on quite a bit. I think the greatest thing that any woman can go through is becoming a mother, and they all know that. Hell, the greatest thing a man can go through probably is becoming a father. And I think that's also the ultimate test of somebody's character, of, how they are as a person, who they are as a person. Growing up, I had a lot of friends that were dirt poor, had nothing. Their parents grew up poor, parents had nothing, but their parents spent a lot of time and a lot of effort on making sure that their children focused on education, focused on their futures, focused on getting into a good college, focused on getting bachelor's or higher, focused on getting a career and breaking the family curse. That's the one thing that the boomer generation was a lot better at than the millennial and zoomer generation. Right? They really cared about the future of their children. They might have been too stupid when it came to economics and whatnot, but when it came to raising their children, they cared a lot more than parents do in this day and age. But, let's be honest. A lot of people aren't really even considering that part of life. They're not even considering becoming a parent and following in the footsteps of the generation before us. And the reason is, as I was saying, we can do whatever the hell we want to do, okay? And, a lot of people on the internet like to make fun of these guys that they call simps and whatnot. But these guys that are simps, they're actually, in a lot of ways, they're synonymous with quote-unquote alpha males. They're doing what they want to do. They would rather live their lives on their own terms. And when it comes to talking to girls, they would rather like pictures on Instagram, subscribe to an OnlyFans, watch internet porn, and play video games. You can call them simps, because they're on social media practically worshiping women, giving women money. But at the end of the day, they have the freedom to do that, and that's what they want to do. They may from time to time fantasize about having a girlfriend, but in reality, they don't want one, and that's why they don't have one. And women are much the same way. Just like my ex-girlfriend, she was sitting there watching a romance movie, drinking a tea. She has got a nice place, pays all of her bills on time. She's got it together. And, occasionally she might call myself, or hell, I don't know what the hell she's doing. Maybe somebody else, when she wants a little bit of sex or whatnot. But for the most part, she can get her oxytocin hits from romance movies. Or maybe occasionally she wants it in person, so, she'll get back with an ex or whatnot, or meet somebody new. But for the most part, she has everything she wants, being by herself. I'm the same way, and many of you out there are the exact same way. And it's sort of a gift and a curse. And there's multiple layers to why this is a gift. Number one, when you're happy by yourself, or you're happy, maybe you just trust in God, you don't really need anybody else. And that's a major advantage to have. And number two, when you're happily single, you don't have that those same desperate motives that other people have. Some people just can't tolerate being alone. So when they meet somebody, they become desperate for that person. And they become clingy, they become unattractive, needy. And this causes them to, get let down quite a bit. It causes them to get dumped quite a bit because nobody wants to be the person, nobody wants to be suffocated, I should say, by somebody that is just entirely codependent. And you're not codependent if you're happily single. You're independent, right? So when you have this mindset, when you go out and you do meet people, you don't come from a point of desperation. You're independent. You don't desperately need somebody. Therefore, you have an opportunity to be more attractive than people who are desperate. So that's another good thing. But, it's risky business. Let's be honest. It can be risky because, I was in a relationship for 9.5 years. We lived together, and I'm going to be honest, it had its ups and downs, and I didn't have a whole lot of freedom. There was somebody else there all the time. But when I'm single, I'm by myself. And, it's got its ups and downs. That's for sure. When you get to a point where you actually enjoy being single, you actually like being single, you like being by yourself, it's very difficult to give up that freedom. And like I said, in this day and age, you can do whatever the hell you want to do. I can go on Tinder. I can basically pick what type of a woman I want, whatever type I'm in the mood for. And I can go out to dinner with her. I can invite her over to my house. I can, go and do whatever with her. We can go on a date. We can go grab a drink. Whatever I'm in the mood for, we can make that happen. For women, it's easy, right? They have no problem making that sort of a thing happen. The average man out there probably struggles a bit when it comes to finding women, but he can probably still make it happen. He may just have to lower his standards a little bit, But, what do we do? What do we do in this day and age? It's just a sign of the times. Men and women just don't need each other anymore. The only thing we really need each other for is reproduction and starting families. But you don't need to start a family. I recommend you do. I think good, high-quality people out there, smart people, I think they should be out there reproducing like crazy. Good people with good morals, repopulating the world with good people. But it's not a necessity. It's not something that you have to do. And when we have the freedom to do whatever we want to do, a lot of people aren't choosing that. There's another layer. There's another layer to this, and that is when people have the freedom to do whatever they want to do. Let me say this first. 50 years ago, 100 years ago, people didn't really have the freedom to do whatever they wanted to do. You kind of met somebody, almost like an arranged marriage type deal. Your parents said, hey, here's Stacy from church, or here's Billy Bob from church. You two should link up. You go out, you get married, you start a family. It was just kind of like that. But in this day and age, we have the freedom of choice. You can choose anything. And it doesn't matter what race they are, what gender they are, if you're into that sort of thing. You can choose whatever you want. You have the freedom to do it. And anytime you have that amount of freedom, when you can do whatever you want, that also means, yes, some people are going to have an abundance. They're going to be able to take their pick of whatever they want. But other guys, and I say guys because it really doesn't apply to women, but a lot of guys will get left out. And that's the sad truth. It's not something that I like to promote because it's kind of blackpilling and upsetting for guys. But when women have the complete freedom of choice to pick whatever guy they want to hook up with, they can get married, they can stay single and hook up with guys, they can be alone, they can do whatever they want. That means some guys aren't going to get picked. When people have the freedom of choice, not everybody gets chosen. And that's the sad truth. And, for a lot of women out there, it's not that they can't get chosen. It's that, their standards are too high. Here's the thing. Men expect to get they all want a hot, good-looking woman. Women want a man who is not only physically attractive, but also makes a good amount of money, is competent, is intelligent, is resourceful, has some status, so they want that going along with it. And, the problem is there's not enough men that have all of those traits to go around. So a lot of women, due to pricing themselves out of the market, get stuck being single. They're voluntarily celibate, you could say. Whereas a lot of men are involuntarily celibate. But, what can we say? I can give you advice. And my advice is that, according to psychology, people do best when they're in a relationship with somebody that is their equal. Now, of course, by equal, we mean, fairly equal on the looks, matching, scale, fairly equal when it comes to intelligence and capability in the world. But, hypergamy is a thing, which means women do like to date up. So, although you may look the same, your genetics are equally matched. I think women do expect you to make a bit more money than they do and, be a bit more established than they are, when it comes to things like being able to buy a home, assets, investments, things like that. A man should have his stuff together, right? And women expect that from a man. So, that's basically what it comes down to. And that's not even advice, that's just the truth. So any guy out there, you can take it or leave it. Date women who are in your league in terms of the way they look and their lifestyles. But, you got to make something of your life. You got to have some type of status. You got to really be focused on, accomplishing things. Life is short. Life is short. Before you know it, you will, it'll pass you by. You're still in a one-bedroom apartment. You're 30 years old living with your parents or, whatever it is. You have no skills, and you're going to get left out. As we move towards higher technology and men and women need each other less and less, if women don't need you and women don't want you, you're not going to get chosen. Okay, so be wanted, be needed. Don't be desperate, don't be needy. And you should do just fine. And advice for women is quite simple. Just take a look at where your standards are at and then ask yourself honestly, would you rather stay single or would you rather be down to earth and, adjust your standards down a notch or two? And that's really all there is to it. But, like I said, at the end of the day, you just have a lot of people that are completely happy being single. They don't want to be bothered. They can order the opposite sex like ordering a pizza. So it's not really a big deal to them. And I kind of understand. I haven't wore this jacket in about 7 or 8 years. When you go in the closet and you find an old piece of clothing, especially a jacket that has pockets in it, and you just go and check the pockets to be like, I wonder if I find any time capsules in there that remind me of what life was like back then. I put this shirt on and I found a movie ticket. I remember I went out to a movie with this girl I met at Target. Her name was Brenda. Found the movie ticket in there. It was interesting. It takes you back to that time period and how much different you were back then. Anyways, guys, I guess that's about enough of me rambling. And I don't know how this video is going to turn out. My camera started screwing up on me. It can't handle the 30-degree weather and it freezes up. So I'm recording this from my cell phone using the Rode mic here. Hopefully the audio is okay and the video quality is okay, and we can continue to shoot the shit even when it's cold. As long as we got fire and we got some technology, we can make it happen. All right, guys. Guess I'm going to go ahead and shut this one off and go do a live stream here in about an hour or two. But hope this talk was somewhat informative. But that's about it for today, guys. Until next time, see ya.